When you hear Northern Nigeria, what comes to mind? A headline, a statistic, a crisis? Every report about Northern Nigeria begins with a number. Poverty rate, out of school children, malnutrition. We hear these numbers again and again, and it shapes how the world sees the North and how the North sees itself. The numbers are real. I'm not here to dispute the numbers. But numbers describe symptoms. They don't always explain causes. Poverty is a condition. Disconnection is a diagnosis. I'm here to offer you a different frame. The North is not poor. The North is disconnected. Not disconnected as per metaphor. Disconnected from the channels through which money, goods, information, and opportunity are supposed to flow. Conditions are endured. Disconnections and diagnoses are treated. But we must name the diagnosis appropriately, or else every solution that we bring forward will be partial, and every failure will be blamed on the people living with that failure. And soon, they too start to believe that narrative. Let me start with what exists and not what's lacking. Where we are standing in Niger State, 76,000 square kilometers of land, larger than the Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, combined, 3 European countries, 1 Nigerian state. Home to some of the most youthful population in the entire world. We produce rice, yam, shea, groundnuts, food that feeds this country. The Northern Corridor should be a gateway to trade across West Africa. In fact, in the 60s, Northern Nigeria produced 60% of Nigeria's export earnings. It was the engine of the economy. The people were wealthy, they were hopeful, and they had lots of possibilities. So today, this same region is discussed as a liability. What changed? Not the land, not the people, the infrastructure that was supposed to connect production to market weakened and was never rebuilt at scale. For any region to provide prosperity, its assets have to move. By 2050, Northern Nigeria will add 100 million more people. That is greater than the population of Germany, France, and the United Kingdom. This is not a burden. This is a market. This is a labor force. This is future tax earnings. If, and this is important, if it is connected to capital, connected to opportunity, because no matter how important an asset is, if it is disconnected, it cannot bridge prosperity. The most important asset of any people, of any region, is its people. And whether the systems allow the people's potential to move. I've seen this because I know what connection does to someone's trajectory. In my own life, at critical moments, I've had access to education, to responsibility, to people that cared about me and opened doors for me. Not because I was the only one that had ability here, but because I was lucky to be connected to systems that recognize my ability. And that is how I see regions like ours. Talent is not missing here. What is missing is access. And when access is missing, any asset of value becomes stuck. Let me show you what that looks like. So this is Zainab. Just a coincidence. My sister-in-law is here. Her name is Zainab, but it's not her. So Zainab is in her 40s. She's been picking shea nuts since she was a little girl. She picks nuts from around her village, and she processes it by hands into shea butter. She sells it for a few hundred naira per kilo to a local trader. The trader sells it to an aggregator. An aggregator sells it to an exporter. You can see the value moving up. The exporter then sells it to a cosmetics company in Europe. By the time that shea becomes a luxury moisturizer somewhere in London or Paris, it sells for much more than she received. What is the difference between Zainab and the final seller? Not effort, not intelligence, not luck. It is a position in the chain. It is that no one built a pipe to connect Zainab to the global markets. Now, let's talk about what this really means. Like, what is blocking? What does a full pipe look like? If I say the pipe is broken, what does a full pipe look like? And what is blocking the flow? I see 3 blockages. First, once you leave the cities, the infrastructure that moves money just fails. Banks, ATMs, agent networks, mobile money. I call it the last 50-kilometer problem, where connectivity just drops. The costs are much higher, and we've all experienced it. And the formal system sort of just quietly retreat. In my policy life, I've been in rooms where we are celebrating national progress on certain initiatives. The averages look good. And then I just do a little test. Okay, let's just check specific states and specific local governments. No movement, no progress. That disconnection is painful because we celebrate national progress, but it does not reach everybody. When systems remain informal, the locality becomes fragmented. It becomes small. It does not have scale. It's just enough for survival, but not for growth. But infrastructure alone is not the only thing that retreats from cities. And this leads me to the second blockage. If a road is not safe, infrastructure cannot be built on it. Insecurity is that blockage that we tend to tiptoe around. We're not calling it what it really is. Farmers will not go to farm if kidnapping is a risk. Agents will not carry cash if bandits control the route. No investor will put money in a warehouse that they cannot insure. A few years ago, we worked to bring multinational dairy producers together with local herders. Brilliant idea economically. And it worked briefly. And then bandits attacked. The multinationals pulled out, and it failed. Not because the economic sense was not there, but because we failed to plan for security. I saw this again in a mentorship program that I run for girls across northern Nigeria, connecting them with female leaders across the world. We solved the technology challenges, and there were several. We solved the logistics. The teachers were very willing. The girls were very excited. The mentors felt fulfilled to be giving back. What we could not solve was kidnapping. Schools had to close. And when schools close, because it's not safe for girls, there is no program that can fix that. Security is not separate from economic inclusion. Security is a prerequisite for it. But even if the roads are secure, Systems still fail people. The last blockage I see is what people call culture. When people say culture is the problem, I say design is the failure. Because really, it is that you have created a product that does not reflect the reality of the people living in that place. Take collateral, since I'm in finance. Many lending products require formal collateral, maybe land or something. In northern Nigeria, land is communally owned. The product fails not because it's bad, but because it's incomplete. Or take financial literacy products. You deliver it programs. You deliver it in English, in writing, assuming formal education. So you are reaching the already reached. But compare that with Adache or Esusu, as people call it. It's a savings program that has been there for generations. Why does it work? Why does it work? Because it's based on trust. It's based on flexibility. It's based on social accountability. So when I look at programs like Adachi, I don't see something that is informal, that we need to change. I see design principles we should be following. So culture is not blocking inclusion. Failure to design with the culture is. Now, if you want to know how serious an inclusion strategy is, check what it does for women. Women in northern Nigeria are less likely than men to be formally financially included. But women are the backbone of the informal economy. You see them in trade, you see them in food processing, household management. The challenge with having women, or let's say what we are missing, is that research has shown that when women are financially included, investment in children's education, in health, grows dramatically. Not slightly, dramatically. Women are not economically inactive. They are economically invisible. So here's the test. You have a product. If it works for a woman in a semi-rural area with no smartphone, low literacy, no digital ID, it will work for everyone. But if you focus it on a young person living in a city with a smartphone and a bank account, you've built half a pipe. And half a pipe is a leak. So what works? Because by now you'll be wondering what really works. What I have seen work is fixing practical problems, not big ideas. And that means removing the blockages that allows value to move. Because there's value here. It's just stuck, it's not moving. There's wealth here. It's just stuck, it's not moving. So, 5 things we can start with. First, design for women first. And it's not because I'm a woman. But if it works for her, it will work for everyone. Second, aggregate before we finance. Small producers need scale before they need credit. It helps bargaining power. Third, secure the roots, not just the cities, because economic life moves through the roads. Fourth, digitize what is already working. When systems are trusted, digitize them. That builds skill. And fifth, measure what comes here. If it does not land locally, it is not in reality. It is easy to point out what is wrong. The real work is fixing it. We need finance, policy, governance to come together to unlock these blockages I'm talking about. Those of us that have been in the system have an obligation, not just to analyze it, but to build better. I'm not here to inspire you. Inspiration is easy. It asks nothing. it changes nothing. I'm here to tell you where the gaps are. 100 million more northern Nigerians are coming in the next 2 decades. They will either be connected to opportunity, to capital, to each other, or they'll be stuck. Stuck is not a metaphor. It is a location. And stuck at scale is a crisis. The pipes are missing. The people are arriving. What we decide to build urgently, intentionally, will decide our future. Thank you.